We now have confirmation that AMD is actually bringing back the Ryzen 5800X3D. They're going to have an anniversary edition. Is it going to be the same CPU? Is it going to be faster or slower? As DDR4 RAM prices are actually coming down right now, could this possibly save PC gaming? Welcome back to PC Builder. I'm Jason. We're going to go through these specs of the just leaked the Ryzen 5800X3D Anniversary Edition. When do we think it's going to launch? What price do we think AMD is going to charge for it? Because there's a lot of competition that just dropped, including the 7600X3D that just hit wide availability in the US last week. If you get value out of this video, please give it a like, of course, subscribe for more cool PC content. Let's jump into it. This video is sponsored by Seasonic. For PC enthusiasts looking for ultimate performance, Seasonic's flagship Prime TX 1300 delivers. ATX 3.1 and PCIe 5.1 compatible with 1300 watts powering even the most insane PC builds. The Prime TX 1300 now comes with an updated 12-volt 2x6 cables for increased safety and reliability with RTX 50 series GPUs. And Seasonic's digital fan control means the PSU stays cool and quiet under load. If you were looking for no compromises performance in power, thermals, and noise, check out Seasonic Prime TX 1300 using the link in the video description. So this information comes to us from HXL. They're a Twitter leaker. They've gotten a lot of things right, both in terms of AMD and Intel architectures in the past. This is the main slide that we'll be talking about here, but just yesterday, they also released 9950X3D2 results. Now, obviously, we're still in the NDA period, more than likely for the 9950X3D2, because that CPU doesn't come out until next week. So these are being leaked early. So they have a pretty decent track record. And the video cards article here, Leaker HXL shared what appears to be a promo image for an AMD Ryzen 7 5800X3D 10 years AMD AM4 Anniversary Edition. Now, it's kind of a mouthful because when we talked to AMD at CES around the 5800X3D coming back, and they said that they have tons and tons of data on so many systems out there with Ryzen 1000, 2000, 3000, even 5000 series CPUs like a 5600. So they're really focused in on in-socket upgrades, as they were saying. So that looks like the focus of this. Looking at the base clock and the boost clock on this, it's basically the same CPU as the original 5800X3D. So we've got a 4.5 gigahertz boost clock, 100 megabytes of total cache, and a 105 watt TDP, 8 cores, and 16 threads. Okay, so when are we gonna get this CPU? When is it gonna launch? Well, the slide basically points to a second quarter 2026 launch. What's the second quarter? April, May, and June. We're already in the middle of April as I'm filming this here, but what happens at the beginning of June? Oh, it's Computex 2026 from June 2nd to June 5th. So there is a possibility that this is basically AMD putting their slide package together, getting it ready to announce this at Computex. However, I will say, given how AI focused all of these CES, Computex have become, I'm not sure that AMD is looking to eat up any kind of stage time around this. So it might be that we actually just get a separate announcement, and they want to spend all their time talking about all the great AI stuff that they want to do and that we all kind of hate at this point because they're stealing our electronics. I wouldn't be shocked if they just decided to go ahead with a standalone announcement instead of waiting for a big event like Computex that they typically have used to announce these kinds of rollouts. Of course, the other question is this CPU going to be available outside of China? Now, I know some people look at the slide and say, oh, Jason, the slide's in Chinese. This must be a China-only announcement. I don't necessarily believe that, though that is, of course, a possibility because a lot of the slides get leaked in China just because they get leaked in China. And obviously, if they get leaked in China by like the board partners and things, yeah, they're obviously going to be in Chinese, but that doesn't mean it's not going to come to a global audience. And we have seen other CPUs have similar kind of leaks like this. So we'll have to wait and see. My fingers are crossed, of course, for a global launch on this thing. Let's talk about the price of the 5800X3D because obviously they didn't give a price. And what price could it possibly be? Originally, it was $449 for the MSRP back in 2022, but it's 4 years later. I don't think anyone's going to pay that price for it because you can get a 9800X3D for that, essentially that same price. I went back to the price history here at PC Part Picker. The best I can find is it basically evaporated just before Black Friday in 2024. The best price I could find is about $329. That's roughly what I could recall. I remember it got down to like $299 a couple of times. But when I went to check on the 5700X3D, I was shocked. I actually found it at Amazon right now. It's being sold and shipped by Platinum Micro. They're pretty good. I've gotten a number of CPUs from them. I think this is the 7500X3D I got from them. So $329 right now for the 5700X3D. Remember, that CPU actually did get down to like under $200 for quite a while before it also seemingly evaporated, but now it seems, at least right now, limited time only, is back on the US market. Obviously, the price is gonna have to be tied to some level of performance because it's not a new CPU by any stretch of the imagination. And in fact, you can see TechSpot tested every X3D CPU that AMD has basically released since the 5800 X3D, and they found the 5800 X3D was slightly slower than the 5700 X3D, although sometimes in games it did beat it, depended on the game, but the 7500 X3D was a little bit faster. The 7600 X3D was faster still, and right now, you can get a Ryzen 7600 X3D for $240. It's actually just started to hit the US market about a week or so ago. Micro Center is now selling these on Amazon. $240 with like a 16 gigabyte kit of DDR5. That's insane performance, especially if you jump back to the FPS here. The 7600 X3D, quite a bit faster with an RTX 5090 at 1080p. So if you're looking to build a new system, like what would the price actually have to be for the 5800 X3D to make sense? The 5800 X3D, it might be a good in-socket upgrade, but think about this for a second. Even people who are in-socket upgrading, what if they want like an RX 9070 GPU or a 9070 XT size GPU out there? You're going to be looking at either the 5800 X3D, or you're going to have to look at going to an AM5 CPU, like a Ryzen 7600X or 9600X, kind of on the more entry level. And you can see from Tech Power Up's Ryzen 9600X review, the 5800 X3D, slightly below the 7600X, gets beaten by the 9600X. And right now, the Ryzen 7600X, 9600X, you can get in really good RAM combo deals, although DDR4 pricing is going down. We'll take a look at that in just a second, which is a notch in the 5800 X3D's category. But look at this. Now they're selling these on Amazon. This is Newegg selling them on Amazon. It's a couple dollars cheaper if you buy it on Newegg, but still, $442 for Ryzen 7600X, 16 gigs of DDR5 6000. I think this is CL38 RAM, perfectly adequate. RGB RAM too, and a pretty decent B850, or this is actually a B650S motherboard. Still very, very good combo deal. Now, I will say, if we look at the 5800 X3D, what would the price have to be here? And I put this in a PC part picker with the cheapest dual tower cooler right now, which is the id Cooling Frozen A620. You could obviously go with the Thermalright Peerless Assassin. It is a little bit more expensive. And then we went with a relatively cheap B550 motherboard here. That's the ASRock B550M Pro 4 motherboard I like a lot. And the currently cheapest RAM kit that I can find, which is DDR4 3200 CL16. Although I will say, I did see this kit today, and I do think DDR4 prices are starting to edge down because we're starting to see some deals like this. I don't want to say that you're going to be able to get this all the time, but this is 16 gigabytes of 3200 CL16. This is XPG kit for $99 right now. It's even Amazon's choice. So what would the 5800 X3D have to be? Well, right now with the RAM at $123 instead of $99, in order to bridge the gap between that $440 7600X combo and this, the Ryzen 5800 X3D would have to be really no more than $200, and this platform is end of life. Whereas if you go with the 7600X here or a 9600X similar combo deal, yeah, you're going to be able to drop in a 9800 X3D in the future, a Zen 6 CPU in the future, possibly Zen 7 CPU in the future. So I would say that that 5800 X3D probably has to be even a little bit cheaper than that. And then just to round out the rest of the competition, obviously we've got the Ryzen 5500 X3D that just started hitting the US market. It's now shipped by Newegg, sold by Senitech Global, which is pretty good overall supplier. $225, a little expensive. Hopefully that price will continue to come down. I think recently it was $300. And then we have also seen the Ryzen 5600 finally come back to the market, about $150 on Amazon. The 5500 still readily available. Obviously, it's a slower CPU. It's a totally different architecture than the actual 5600. And then we do still have some Intel offerings, like for instance, the 12600KF. Newegg just keeps having this insane deal where you get it for $159 after $10 promo code, and then you get a 750 watt C-tier rated PSU with it. So basically makes the CPU $100. Great value, by the way. I'll leave it linked down in the video description if you want to check it out. So what do I think about the Ryzen 5800 X3D coming back to the market, the anniversary edition? What should the price be? Who is this CPU for, and what's going to be the impact to the market, especially if you're thinking about upgrading or building a new system? Well, honestly, for the pricing on this, if AMD wants to target just in-socket upgraders, so people who are already on an AM4 motherboard with DDR4 RAM, so they don't have to go buy this stuff even brand new, then yes, I think they could probably get away with charging $249 for the CPU as long as it's got good availability to it. At that price, I don't think it makes any sense for new system builders to even look at this thing, because you'd go immediately to AM5 because you're going to get that future upgradability to Zen 6 or Zen 7, even a 9800 X3D or something like that. And it's just as fast as the 5800 X3D. So in terms of the pricing, $249 would be in-socket upgraders. If AMD wants to have this have wider appeal, I think they'd have to cut down to like $179, $159 for the CPU. That would be insane, by the way. Can I see them doing that? It's AMD. They've tended to want to charge a lot of money lately. I just don't see them focused on that. But it is good to see CPUs like the 5600X come back in the market, the 12th, 13th, and 14th gen Intel CPUs that use DDR4 RAM come back in the market. So it's good to see these CPUs start to filter back in the market. I do think things are normalizing. We're seeing those RAM prices continue to come down. But unfortunately, I think the 5800 X3D is mostly going to focus on people who want to do in-socket upgrades, not necessarily going to help new system builders, although it will be helpful if it just drives prices down generally. So let me know, what are your thoughts on the 5800 X3D coming back as the anniversary edition? Are you excited to potentially finally upgrade your Ryzen 2600 CPU? Are you thinking about, hey, maybe this is something that you're going to build a new system with? Let me know down in the comments. If you get value out of this video, please give it a like, of course, subscribe for more cool PC content. Like, did you check out our recent Boost My Build? Boost My Build is back for 2026. We got a $7,000 PC build and setup here. It's totally insane, along with a $1,250 more budget setup. Check it out, and we'll catch you on the next one.